7th, 2023. The invocation will be given this evening by the First Baptist Church International Missions and Adult Pastor Jim Gibson. The Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Commissioner Howard Thompson. Please rise.
Let's pray together. Father, we praise you for who you are, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and we have an opportunity to represent you in everything that we do. I pray that you would be with each one of these individuals who have been selected by the people and appointed by you to serve this community. Thank you for their heart. Thank you for the way they work. Thank you for the way they love this place. I thank you for the influence the people in this place has had upon my life and for my entire life. We believe that this county and city are becoming places of refuge for people from all over the nation and literally all over the world. May we always represent you well. May we always desire to get to the root of issues and not just deal with the fruit. And may you allow us to sense your presence and your power in all that we do and all these people do. I ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Normally have the report from the county mayor. He's not here tonight. Do you have anything, Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two quick things. One, a septic repair program update. These are the numbers as of last Friday afternoon. 113 properties are now in process. Of those 113, 6 are potential sewer hookups. 23 permits have been issued, 22 signed contracts are in place, and 1 project now has been inspected and is completed. The total amount of dollars from the $750,000 that was allocated is $161,241. So that is roughly 20% of all the funds available, leaving $588,759 left in the fund. One other item then, a little bit of movement on the broadband front. Next Wednesday, March 8th, Cleveland Utilities is hosting a public hearing for anyone interested in learning more about the potential for broadband from Cleveland Utilities, and so we're asking folks to make themselves available if they can be at that meeting. That's next Wednesday, March 8th at 6 p.m. at the Tom Wheeler Training Center. So they're expecting a good crowd, and it'll be a good opportunity for the public to learn and voice their input. If there aren't any questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Adam, I have one question, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Please.
Is that in the city, Adam, only?
No, there's the potential for folks that are on the Cleveland Utilities electrical footprint,
okay,
who are in the county, to be served by broadband as well.
Any other questions for Mr. Lewis? Thank you very much. Reports from committees and our districts. We'll go to our right. Commissioner Beatty, please.
Everything's doing pretty good in the first district. I just had some calls on people wondering, well, why we don't just put some more plats up for them, you know, all the main athletic people that done a lot of things in the county. That's basically all I have.
Oh, I think we're going to discuss that in one of the agenda items just in a few minutes. Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing today.
Commissioner Alford.
Yes, second district doing well. I do have a committee report. The Farmers Market Committee met last week and approved the 2023 rules and regulations and the vendor application. Market is set to open April 1 and run through at November 25. I just encourage anybody that wants to pick up some fresh fruit during that time frame, go out and do that. Also, there was a situation, we forwarded a building, a small building on the property that I think we need to have building and land look at it and decide what we need to do about it.
Is that it?
That's it.
No problem. Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. Vice Chairman Winters is not here, so I will have the honor of presenting the Legal and Legislative Committee report. Mr. Chairman, the Legal and Legislative Committee had a meeting last week. As you know, the Commission Office received a call recently from a constituent requesting the Finance Committee agenda packet to be included on the website or be provided to citizens for inspection prior to the meeting. We voted 4-0 to recommend waiting to add the packets to the website in anticipation of a possible website redesign in the near future, and for Commission Office to forward the packet via email to individuals requesting the information. Mr. Chairman, I place this recommendation on the March 6th voting session on behalf of Vice Chairman Winters, by the way.
Do I have a second?
No, we're not voting. I'm putting it on the agenda.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead, sir.
As you may recall, the Commission approved last week a new policy requiring a fiscal note be attached to all resolutions unless such resolution is regarding American Rescue Plan Act, which is Fund 128. The policy is one of the proposed changes to the rules of procedure. The committee voted last week to recommend adopting the form before you to be used as a Bradley County fiscal note. Also need to place this on the March 6th voting session, Mr. Chairman.
Done.
We also reviewed the commission rules and procedures in its entirety and voted to recommend a number of changes. Some of the changes are clerical in nature, such as referring to this body as the county commission rather than Board of County Commissioners, while other recommended changes more accurately describe our procedures. For instance, our current rules and procedures require 2 commissioners to sign a resolution. I don't think that's ever been done. To our knowledge, only the chairperson, the mayor, and the county clerk have ever signed the resolution. I also placed this recommendation on the March 6th, 2023 voting session, Mr. Chairman. Those are all on behalf of Vice Chairman Winters, Chairman, just so you.
Yes. Is that it?
I think yes.
Please.
Can Lori send out those changes that were made to the procedures and highlight those so that we could see them before we decide to vote on them, please? If that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
possible. Thank you. Yeah. No problem at all. Anyone else?
Okay, last, Mr. Chairman, as you know, last week, I continue, not to sound like a broken record, but asking for the friends over at the landfill to provide the documentation for the price increase for tire disposal. I'm assuming, since I haven't heard anything, that we haven't received anything. But unless you have contrary to that.
That is a fact. We have not received anything, and
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask how much time do you think is reasonable before they submit the documentation that we requested? And I think it's within our wherewithal to do so before we look at all the options that we have.
I think that's very appropriate. I think they've had more than enough time. And what committee do you think it should go to?
Well, I don't know.
Legal and legislative would probably.
Well, how about this, Mr. Chairman, just as an idea, if we just submit to our county attorney and ask her what options we have with respects to, we've formally requested, but just see what her thoughts are on how to proceed.
I
If
think,
you don't mind, just send that request to the county attorney and ask her for what options we have, and we can take it from there. That's just my idea.
okay. Commissioner Rogers. Commissioner Slater.
Yes.
Ms. Moultrie, we'll get to the.
Oh, I didn't see you.
I received an email late this afternoon from David Hollenshed letting me know that they have a plan and have scheduled March 8th as their date to sit down and review that tire cost policy. So it's on their calendar for March the 8th.
I did not know that, so I didn't mean to take up your time, Mr. Chairman.
You didn't take my time up, then after this, we'll get on the box springs and mattresses for $50
So
apiece.
let me make this, and just make sure I understand. On March 8th, they're going to start the process of coming up with an answer, or by then they will have an answer? There's totally different things.
he just told me that they have March 8th on the calendar, because I did send him an email last week requesting an update, and he said March 8th's their date to sit down and speak about it. I don't know if a team has already been working on it, and they're gonna review it with them, or that's the beginning process, but I can follow up to find out.
All right, so we look forward to March 8th. Next, Mr. Chairman, you may remember, last week, the gentleman from Cumberland Securities was here to talk about the bond swap, and I asked for a breakdown of the cost. Lori, if you don't mind, to send an email to the gentleman asking for that breakdown, I'd be fair when you're that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. All is well in the third district.
Thank you very much. Anyone with any comments on all of that? Commissioner Collins.
All is well in the third. Just want to recognize Mr. Taylor from the Bradley County Board of Education. Thank you for being here, Mr. Taylor. Everything is great in the third.
That's great. Commissioner Gilbert.
I had a constituent call about McGrady Drive, right across from McGrady Drive, where the homeless have been. And I drove by there, man, it is horrible. It's awful. And I started to get some folks to come help me pick it up, but you don't know what's in there. Another friend told me that they went and picked some stuff up, and they was human feces in 3 different buckets. And so I think that's part in the city. And if they would look into help, I wouldn't mind helping clean up, but I need some boots and some gloves. But it's pretty bad now. I mean, it's worse as I've ever seen it. And
Drive's over by Walmart on the
Yes.
south side.
And then another constituent out at Oak Grove School said that Tommy Lefford actually had called and called Tom, and a piece of the guardrail is down right there at the corner of Bakes Pike and Durkee. And I sure do appreciate Tom. He'll be taking care of that, he said. And thank you, Tommy, for calling and letting me know. And also, I'd like to thank this pastor for coming in. Last week, another pastor come in, and he told us that he loved us, and he cared for us, and he prayed over us. And the things that's happened to me this week that didn't affect me at all. Howard Thompson, they thought he had a heart attack. I'm going to tell on him. And man, it scared us to death, the folks out in the 4th District. And I just want you to know that your prayers, your covering that you bring to this commission is appreciated by us. Or it is by me, and I know most of the other people here are. And I thank you so much for doing that. And but we had a little scare with Mr. Thompson, but he's going to be okay. And that's all for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioner.
Thompson.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm gonna live. Anyway, it's vertigo instead of a heart attack. I guess that, if you ever heard of vertigo. But anyway, I'd like to say I appreciate the ambulance service. I didn't get to ride in one of the new ones, but I did get to ride in one of the old ones down to Memorial. But anyway, I appreciate them, and I appreciate the fire department and ambulance service for being there. And they were great, and they done what they're supposed to do, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, that's just something we need. I hate to put bad news in front of good news here, but anyway, it's still kind of eating on me from last week. And last week on the vote, we had for the sign for Mrs. Howard. I voted for it, and so did the rest of the commissioners, which you well deserved. And I'd just like to know who the fortune teller was that was predicting who wasn't predicting. They did put on Facebook who was going to vote for it and who wouldn't. But I sure don't want to hire them because they're not a very good fortune teller. Because we had 14 votes for her, and I appreciate that. And first of all, my state representative that I have would have asked me about the resolution before it was ever brought here. But when you have a representative that throws it out in front of you one week and wants you to vote on it the next without any notice or without any addressing the commissioner whatsoever, that's not a good state representative. And I'll tell him that. But if a representative was so good, why didn't he go to the state and make a law himself to where he could make those decisions instead of bringing it back to this county commission? or ever whoever, you know, if that's what they want. But anyway, I just don't think the state representative done his job. He should have been right up here in front of us and explained it to us what was going on. And that just makes it much easier for us to make a decision and to make a vote. So that's all I have, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Slater,
I have nothing to report tonight.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Chairman. Everything's well in the 6th District. The TDOT litter grant, put my specs on. County roadside pickup, 558 miles. State miles was 200, and city we hit 75 miles for a total of 18,400 pounds of litter for past month. Recycled item was paper 610 pounds, metal 675 for a total of 1,285 recycled pounds for this month. We've been busy, and as I always say, y'all can email me, call me, text me if you got somebody in your constituent in your district. Let me know that needs some pickup on the roadsides. And I think TDOT is going to help us over there with that at McGrady. Also, I think they're going to clear out some more trees and stuff to help. That's all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Gilbert has a question.
Is that, Tim, is that in the county or city?
That's going to be city.
But you're gonna be helping them.
Well, the TDOT, that's a dangerous area there. They're going to use their equipment, and the city's got the grabbers and stuff. They're more equipped than we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to also thank Commissioner Mason for Hooper Gap Road and Mallory Road cleaning that disaster up on behalf of Commissioner Alford. Thank you. Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are they still taking cash at the landfill? I want to make sure.
I don't know. I understand they are, but then the sign's removed, but I have not personally checked, no.
Second item, my brother-in-law died from COVID in September 21. Today would have been his 60th birthday. Second item, Joe Blackburn. He is a EMT, he's retired from our EMS service. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many, many, many years. He was actually in the Guard with me. He is in very critical condition at Erlanger, I think. Joe's a very bad diabetic, and he's not doing well. I think most of you know Joe Blackburn, but let's just send out prayers for him. Went to a city council meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about the Greenway. I don't know if any of you use it. I'm sure you do. They're going to install cameras on the Greenway. Vandalism was $1,000 a week, vandalism upon the whole mileage of the Greenway. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to mention and talk about Cleveland Utilities, but the mayor's assistant kind of stole my thunder a little bit on that. But we are looking forward to next Wednesday night. This is to clarify a little bit more too. This is for anyone who is on Cleveland Utilities electrical. And so this is businesses, this is residents. Anyone will have access to broadband internet and also phone as well. There's a 194-page presentation on Cleveland Utilities website. If you'd like to take the time to read all 194 pages, it takes about 3 or 4 hours. It's a good read late at night, and so you can read, and it talks about pricing and availability and everything else like that. I want to clarify some of the comments that were made here tonight, and start one with Commissioner Beatty that's asked about people contacting you about other people in the county who should be recognized. I totally agree, and thankfully 14-0 voted last week to recognize Miss Howard. If it is a county road, then the county has the purview to be able to rename that road or to put up a commemorative sign through the county. If it is a city road, the city has that ability to do that. They have the opportunity to name parks, gyms, commission rooms, commission workrooms, buses, vans, for any person that they would like to. And we have done that. We have done that in this town, and I think that we need to do more of that. But to sit here and to attack a state representative for saying that he didn't do his job when he did do his job. He did contact a commissioner in his district. He brought a resolution forward and spoke with a commissioner that represents the 24th district. And that commissioner brought it to us in a work session and then continued to bring that to a voting session. So that state representative did do his job. He had the ability to reach out to more of us if he would like to, but he did it the way the rules and the procedure of this commission are stated. Now, if legal and legislative last week, which I look forward to the new rules and new procedures that come forth out of legal and legislative to see if anything changes. But State Representative Raper did his job, and he did it right. It might not have been done the way that people wanted it to be done, but he did it by the rules and the procedures. And I'm thankful that Miss Howard got her sign. But whether it was Miss Howard or a business person or a doctor or a politician or a law enforcement or a firefighter, whoever it might have been, whatever road it might have been, if it was on South Lee Highway or Keith Street or North Lee Highway, then we would have to vote on it because it is a state road, not a county road, not a city road, but a state road. And by the state and by their laws and by their regulations, they state that the governing bodies of the county where this road or these signs must be placed must be voted on by the governing bodies. And that's exactly what we did last week and exactly what City of Cleveland did today, voting 7-0 to approve it. So I don't know where we go from saying that a state representative didn't do his job when he did do his job. And I don't think that it is our job to attack people in a public setting. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Thompson.
I'm not the smartest thing in the world, and I don't think you are either. And your state representative should.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Your state.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order right here.
Yes, don't mention anyone by, or refer to them by arm.
Your state representative should have been right here and addressed us as a commission. That's what he should have done. If it had been Dan Howell, he'd have been here. Now, you can say what you want to and take up for him all you want to, but he was wrong. I've been up here a little longer than you have, and I know what's right and what's wrong, and it was wrong.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson, I appreciate your comments. I do. And I appreciate your service to Bradley County. I absolutely do. And I appreciate your tenure and how long that you've been here. But by the rules and the procedures of this county commission, he followed what was correct. So he followed the rules. So if the rules need to change, then we can vote on those and change those rules. If a state legislator, if we want to say that a state legislator or a state senator wants to bring a resolution forward, then they must bring it in person. We can do that. We can talk with Crystal, and we can definitely do that. But to personally attack another sitting commissioner is not right. It's not right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner. That it. All right, let's go on to the agenda items. Agenda item A, Commissioner Louis Alford.
Yes, being chairman of the Law Enforcement Committee, Sheriff is here tonight to give us a real quick, I know he wants to give us a quick review on the population of the jail and the problems that they're having, and I think he wants to get to the girls' basketball game, so the fewer the less questions we have for him, the more we can
Bradley did win, so just.
Oh, are you over?
Thank y'all, and I did call Louis, Commissioner Alford, he's chairman of the Law Enforcement Committee, and what I've saw in the trend that I've saw in the uptick in population, we have absolutely, as you well know, fighting not having enough employees. And you would hope those two come together, you would get more employees and maybe less inmates, and it'd be manageable. But what I'm seeing is uptick in the population. And in things that I've seen happen in the past, and some of the hearings I've had to be in, I've said I would keep the county commission up to date as to where, when we met that threshold of 510 beds and went above that threshold. Now, during COVID, was able to keep it down, and then the judges every morning and the DA, and I think the county mayor's office, we send out an email showing the population where we're at, and I ask them to please work with me. I've supplied you with a list. I've kind of broke it down to this morning's count, and you'll see each individual charge, what they're charged with, whether it's misdemeanors, federal inmates, felonies, or what their status is. This morning, we have 527 total inmates in a 510 bed facility. What we don't want to happen is the night I took over as sheriff, we had 581 inmates. It's not manageable. We had them on the floor, we had them everywhere. And then one day we got to 604. We've got to try to get everybody to work together and come up with plans and alternative plans for nonviolent misdemeanors. And Tim knows about the trash on the roads, and my idea is to have them meet on Saturday mornings, the ones that want to. Not a lot of them want to, because not of them really want to work. They'd have a job, and I understand that. But I told the judge this morning, Judge Collins, have them meet here on Saturday mornings. Let's pick up trash. Let's send them to a road. We don't even have to supervise. They're not in custody. Go pick trash up. I'll have a patrol car go check. But let's come up with some different avenues as to using them and trying to reduce the numbers in the jail. It's not good with the staffing we have right now. And I can tell you we're 31 jobs down in corrections. And I put those people in harm's way. And I even hear from families, why aren't you letting them out more? I can only do the best we can do because we only have so many people working. So it's a burden. It's tough. It's tough on employees. Now, I'm here, Jail Administrator Christy Walls is here with me. Senior Lieutenant Jeremy Knaps came too. And we'd be glad to answer any of your questions or entertain your ideas on what we do to move forward. What we don't want to happen is for it to bite us on down the road and the numbers keep growing and we never address anything. So I'm trying to document everything I do to make sure that we simply do the right thing to try to address it the right way. And I just got a page a while ago, we put 2 burglars in jail. I believe burglars ought to be in jail. If they go in your house or in a business, they ought to be in jail. I'm not soft on crime. I'm kind of soft on the soft misdemeanors that we're not getting out of jail. And I think there's an avenue to get that. And they'll answer your questions too, Christy.
Question. Mr. Hughes.
Sheriff Lawson, I know we implemented the workhouse a few years back. Are the court system utilizing it any at all, or would that help?
Well, and I'm not here to bash anything, but what I am is saying generally it's built as a jail right now, 15 jobs going out, tops. We're really not getting our money's worth out of it. But if you see the state inmates, which they pay you a whopping $41 a day, and generally they will not take their inmates, but they could put the counties back in a bind. And then we get loaded up with state inmates. You want a few, and a lot of sheriffs want a few across the state. And because of the revenue, the county wants them to have the revenue coming in. We got federal, if you'll remember, after I took office, the federal inmates, where we had 100, 3 years, right, Howard? And then I had to cut them back to 50 because of being overpopulated. And you still have, I think we had 33 on this form this morning. So and they pay more. They do. They pay $64. But I cannot sit here and look at, we got to look at revenue. I got to represent all these people, the taxpayers but I also have to represent my employees in being safe and making sure that I balance that out to do simply the right thing for them, for the taxpayers, and for all the people this county.
Commissioner Collins.
Thank you for being here, Sheriff. Can you explain, just for someone that doesn't know, what's the process when you exceed that threshold of 510? I don't want to say negotiating, but what all goes into making the decision of who might be released or who goes where? What do you do in terms of mitigating that number to stay under that 510 threshold?
I try to go to the DA and to the judges. And I try to communicate to them, please work with me. And I was in Judge Collins' office this morning, told him I was coming here to inform me all of the numbers. Told him that, ask him to work with us with some different plans. Hopefully that will happen. We'll see where we go.
And so
But if I
ultimately,
let this explode and don't tell you,
yes.
then that's on me.
And ultimately, the judge has the DA's office, the judge have
That's
the
correct.
authority to say, you know, for instance, these misdemeanors, we can let them out maybe and monitor them or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah, the nonviolent
Nonviolent.
misdemeanors, yes.
Correct.
That's the only ones that we're really
Commissioner
addressing.
Gilbert and Commissioner
Thank
Slater.
Christie, will you step up, please? For y'all that don't know, this is Christie Wallace. She's probably one of the hardest working people in Bradley County. This gal right here knows her stuff. She's over all the inmates in Bradley County Jail. She is one tough cat. And I've known her for a long time. I've known her mother. They shop with me at the bakery. Christie, what do you see of anything that we could actually do that?
Actually, the paper that the sheriff had given you, I said 527, and then this morning it was 533. Before I left at 5 o'clock, we were already up to 535. So just showing the fluctuation of the day, how high the number's going. What I would say would be in agreement with Sheriff Lawson about the convicted misdemeanors. If you have someone in there that is a nonviolent crime, not a sexual offense, like that, I feel like it would be something that we could do some kind of other thing, maybe the litter pickup, maybe, community service, or even let them come in on the weekend and do something, 48 hours for a couple of weekends. At least it would alleviate the overall numbers in the facility. Because right now it is really starting to this is February. So all this increase started at the 1st of February, because February the 1st, we only had 487. So if you can think in February, 487 to 535, we're not even to the warm weather. And everybody that knows anything knows when warm weather gets here, everybody comes to jail. When families start getting together and outings start happening and the weather's nice, we get overloaded with the homeless as well, because we have got a huge homeless issue in the city of Cleveland.
This gal right here would know what to do if anybody does. She knows every inmate that comes through there. So if you would guide us and direct us, I'd like that.
Well, first we would have to work together, and we'd have to work together with the judge and with the DA, kind of the same way that we did when COVID hit. We'd have to sit down and just get together and think of a plan that would be the best for not only for us, but also for the community, because we'd never want to put anyone out that would be a harm to anyone in the community. So we'd have to sit down and come up with a list of violators that we feel like that would be able to be released to go into these new kind of serving that we would come up with. So that's what we really need to start out.
Chair, I'm willing to meet with them. If I don't know exactly how we got to go about it.
So we'll be working on it. Commissioner Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff Lawson or Christie, how many people of how many of the 535 do you think could actually be released and that are nonviolent on this list? If I was guessing, because I don't have their charges right in front of me, ma'am, but there's 94 convicted misdemeanors in the facility right now. I would be willing to say that 50% of those would be for nonviolent crime, such as even, non-support, they work wonderful with us, and that is some of the people that are in the work release program. But like Sheriff Lawson says, there's also, that's 104 beds out in the workhouse. And then we have one dorm that's only work release. So that is where that comes into effect. So actually, if you take the 104 and you minus from the 510, we have a 406 bed facility minus the workhouse.
Commissioner Thompson.
Are we doing any ankle bracelets now? When did we quit that?
Not that I know of. They don't come through the sheriff's office. That's handled, all ankle bracelets are handled through misdemeanor probation. They come out of the courts directly to misdemeanor probation, so we do not. I hadn't seen any being released. You have to pay for them, so that's.
Okay.
We probably need to look at that too, and what it would cost versus what it costs to house them. We don't have the breakdown because we hadn't done a study and analysis at our facility in a long time to see what it costs to house an inmate. But I got it when I first coming off of statewide, and then in 2018, statewide, the average cost to house an inmate in county jail was $73.80. Whereas remember, we get $41 for a state inmate, or $64 for a federal inmate. I'm not a mathematician, but I don't think we're coming out.
Sheriff, as I recall, corrections is what I'm talking about here. You have approximately 95 positions that.
Listen, that 92 was what it was when the place was built.
Yeah.
And then you bleed it out in different administrations, and you got to, like, you have to have a person in the garage that's TCI certified. You have a person on litter pickup that's TCI certified. You've got to spread those people around as well. So probably, and I'm guessing, and I think I've seen the number 80 something, but I think it's 70 something that actually were in the jail on the job. So, you know, it's down from that. If you remember when I first took office, we had a plan to add some jobs back, 16, and I brought it to you. I ain't no way I fill those 16 jobs as we speak. I mean, we're down 31 jobs. I think maybe we got a couple higher. They're in and out, but 28, 31, somewhere in there is where we stay. It's tough. So if you go play by the number 92, which it was when the place was built, what was negotiated to staff it, it's not true. We don't have close to it. A lot of those salaries were assigned in corrections too, Tom, and we're out of whack from the beginning. We've tried to gather those back in. A lot of those people are paid out of corrections that, you know, full-time job is not in.
So we're at that number, but we've got 31, which is about more than a third.
Yeah, we're operating a third down.
Yeah, so that's what is the starting pay for a person? Bill?
$16.90 for corrections officers, $18.43 on a patrol.
Commissioner Slater.
That was my question.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Rogers.
The numbers that you presented tonight with the federal inmates and the state inmates, it looks like 33 federal and then 82 state inmates. Is that correct? Is that kind of average for your jail to have, or is there potential for more, potential for less, or is that kind of?
Yeah, it's up to the state, and they get email every day. I told them to send one every day to them. Then you get a few of your inmates. I can tell you, actually, we have between 25 and 30 today that are ready to go. Some of these have other charges, so you don't know when they have other charges, misdemeanor charges, or whatever we're holding them for. But I had them check, bring me the list as to 25 to 30 are ready to go today, and I had them send them another email today. Please take your inmate. That's all I can do because the state kind of dictates to you. It's funny to me that the state of Tennessee won't take your inmates, but then they will come in and decertify your jail because you're overcrowded. And that's what worries me because the last 3 years we have been blessed to pass our certification on first reading. And I don't think if we come in today because of the overcrowding, we'd be able to do that.
Mr. Hughes.
Sheriff, I was looking at this list, and there's a list of your felons that are waiting trial Looks like about 150 or so. And then on
174.
174, thank you. And then on misdemeanors that are awaiting hearings, just looking at that, the felonies is, I understand, but I don't understand. In other words, what is the average wait for these people to have trial or to have a hearing?
Well, I think COVID got you behind. Don't get me wrong. And then you had the Tennessee Crime Lab, TBI Crime Lab, which got behind. And you saw those stories and analyzing drugs and how far behind. And it got to a point, I know there were some cases and papers filed to release those people because they had been in there for a year or over and still their lab reports wasn't back. So I think they got to stay on top of that. The courts do be reasonable, be fair, but be firm and get those people through the process. I think General Crump will work with us well if we ever want to sit down with that and try to everybody get on the same page. As to, I think we need to look. Number one, there's different avenues to look. The litter pickup, there's ankle bracelets. There's some avenues to look at, but I think we live in a world today, and I use this. We live in a world today. If it doesn't affect you directly, and you don't have to deal with it, you generally don't pay attention to it. So the jail is, I believe, our biggest liability in this county, and that's why I'm here tonight to let you all know where we're at in the trend that I'm seeing. And I think we need to be on our toes and address it.
Any other questions, Sheriff? Golden opportunity. Commissioner Gilbert.
I just want to thank you for bringing it to us before it gets any worse. So, thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you, Sheriff. Agenda item B, Commissioner Louis Alford.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I place on the March 6th voting session agenda a motion to request Bradley County Schools to create a procedure and to establish a vehicle for honoring our Bradley County greats in the future. I ask that our chairman send a letter to the Director of Schools notifying her of this request upon its passage. I'd like to clarify just a couple of things. To create a procedure and to establish a vehicle. There's some emails and so forth going around social media think that we're in the process of buying cars for people that can't understand establish a vehicle. We don't build cars for the commission. We don't buy cars for the commission. We're simply asking the school to create a vehicle. I'm pretty sure I know where most of this is creating. I think the problem is people just wanting to create a situation or a procedure or a problem for us to deal with. And so that's all I've got to say about that. We won't put that in the form of a motion for next week. Thank you.
Commissioner Slater.
Commissioner Alford, I had a conversation with Dr. Cash on Thursday or Friday last week, and that is already in motion. They have already began that, and they will have a vehicle to honor people in the near future, not only for sports, but academically as well. So they have already taken that and are already working on that. And my second question is, are we using Don Ledford or Cleveland Ford? I'm just kidding.
Personally, I'd rather we buy Dodges.
Yeah, job, Brad. Commissioner Slater at work again.
I just think it's ridiculous that somebody can look at this request and want to make something of it. All they're doing is trying to create a situation and prolong this Miss Howard situation and accusing us of looking to buy cars for athletes.
But the school board, Dr. Cash already has a committee, and they are already working on that.
Any other comments, questions on that?
I'll just make a comment. I was,
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I'm in the school system a lot, and in the schools, particularly Bradley High School and Walker Valley. I was in Bradley High School this weekend. There are 32, I believe, retired jerseys in the gym. There are over 70 individual state championship recognitions. There are dozens of banners, and that's just in the gym. I think Walker Valley retired their first 3 jerseys this past winter. So I think the schools have the vehicle or the procedure. I think that's been done. I know context is important, and I think in the context of our conversation the past few weeks, I understand the context of this. I do think that this is respectfully, a dangerous precedent when I don't know that this is our purview as the county commission to get into the school business or the Board of Education or to suggest anything for the director of schools. That's just, I don't know that that would be something that we would want to do. I think that might be something we want to talk about, but that's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Bring that.
Go ahead.
I was talking to developers this week, and I'm talking about the 4th District. And this is something that we really need to think about. We've got an area out there that's fixing to build 500 homes, and that's going to affect Parkview School, Michigan Avenue School, and this is something we need to think about now. It's a lot of kids. You know, when we first heard this, the city said, well, we're going to zone them for another area way down here. Well, the city ain't going to do nothing. We're going to end up with the kids at Michigan Avenue and Parkview and probably Oak Grove schools. And they figure, 2 kids per household, 2 or 3 kids per household, 500 homes. And I'm talking about medium-sized homes, anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 homes, something that will sell to the middle class, I guess. But anyway, this is something in the future we need to think about it, and I want to think about it because it's out in the 4th District and what it's going to do to our schools out there. So
I think we are thinking about it. The Commissioner Slater is chair of a ad hoc committee along with the school system on the density of potential students in the future. Could you comment on that, Commissioner Slater?
So we're going through a process currently to look at each county school in the school system from elementary, middle school, and high school. We're working with an individual, a firm that can tell us, and I'll just use Parkview for an example. Does Parkview have the capability to build on to their facility? If Parkview could add on to their facility, what does that do from a gymnasium standpoint? What does that do from a cafeteria standpoint? So that work is ongoing right now for every school within the county, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will have all that data to see what it looks like and where we are. There will be some schools that we are absolutely landlocked and cannot build on or do anything, but there will be quite a few schools where we will have the opportunity that if the population increased in those areas, that we would be able to do something from a school standpoint. So it's being worked on, Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Slater. And to those people who don't fully understand why you can't build on to some of these schools, there's a ratio on the cafeteria versus students. Cafeteria, the auditorium, gymnasium versus the number of students. And that enters into a lot of it. But thank you very much for clarifying that. The next item is communication from the audience. Anyone would like to address the audience? Rawls, please.
Good evening. A couple of things, and I was glad the commissioner brought up about the academics, because I feel that, academics in most instances, in all instances, more important. Athletics, for the long term of the individual. So that's a good thing. I'd kind of be interested how many jerseys they got hanging around with academic achievement, students that had high academic achievements. I just kind of wonder how many of those there are. That light of curiosity. There's a lot of go back and forth, and we're not really here to be adversarial. Everyone here took an oath to the Constitution when you were elected, and we see that part of that oath is to, First Amendment in the Constitution is the freedom of speech and the redress of grievances. That is a pretty profound and important aspect of this country and we as a people. But also, the state constitution, which most people have never read, have no idea what it contains. Also, puts that forward as a very important part of Article 1 in the state constitution. The Constitution, it doesn't give us rights. The Constitution protects our rights and binds the government with the chains, as Thomas Jefferson said. Anyone who votes or is in an appointed or elected position that would vote to endanger these rights is culpable and accountable for that. And there are remedies for that. And that's what the redress of grievances is all about. It's not for an individual and another citizen. This is about the citizen questioning the government and taking a course that would allow them to take action when the government is in violation of their rights and against the Constitution. And I'll just read this real quickly. This is Article 1, Section 23 of the Tennessee State Constitution. The citizens have a right in a peaceable manner to assemble together for their common good, to instruct their representatives, and to apply to those invested with the powers of government for redress of grievances or other proper purposes by the address of remonstrance. Go look that word. So there is recourse, and the citizens and the taxpayers in this county, all they're asking for is that their speech not be stifled and that they have clarity and transparency in all government actions. And that if there is a violation of that there is a way to hold them accountable, and that for all government employees be held to at least the level of the average citizen, if not to a higher level. Because that's what should be called for. And that's what we feel our mission is, and we'll continue on that mission at whatever is needed to be to fulfill that mission. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else care to address the public, please? If you don't mind, give your name, and if you don't want to make your address public, please give it to Lori.
I'm Lindsay Madison of the 4th District. I didn't hear it mentioned, but I was at the legal and legislative meeting that we just had, and Mike talked about that we our ability to address you guys. I didn't hear it addressed tonight. I'm here because I've realized that local county government matters more than federal government to us. Tell you that I take part in a voter. A lot of people don't even vote anymore. They don't show up to I'm trading with my kids on it. I'm really interested in talking about here. I want to preserve our freedoms and keep our local communities operating by the Constitution. And I've realized that so I need to be involved in what's going on. So doing my part by coming to the other thing I heard about the our being able to come to and tell you stuff time that was allowed. So, I'm here to remind everybody that everyone is here is because it's to represent us as constituents, and that hearing our voices and not limiting us or preventing us to present our needs, grievances, foundational that we need to have. And we're not just in America, but we are the people and are what make America. And America's constitutional republic will limit government, not ask the time not be shortened for the change for our speech. By Patrick Henry. It says, it is only in this way that we can hope to arrive at truth, great responsibility which we God and our country. Should I keep back my opinions at such a time, through fear of giving offense, I should consider myself as guilty of treason towards my country, active majesty, involve all.
Please. There we go.
My name is Lael Madison, and that's my mom over there. And I'm here to learn how to be involved in my community and to see how government works. I've been studying our government and constitution and want to participate in help keep where I live free and learn how to be good, involved citizen. I've heard what the adults were concerned with and wanted to tell you that I would also like you to vote no to lessen our speaking time. To quote President Harry Truman, once a government is committed to the principle of silence, the voice of opposition, it only has one way to go, and that is down the path of increasingly repressive measures, and until it becomes a source of terror into all of its citizens and the credits of the country where everyone lives in fear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well said. Commissioner Gilbert, please.
Ma'am, could I speak to you one time? Can you step back up? Thank you so much for coming. What do you think would be appropriate time limit?
Well, what was it before?
It was 5 minutes.
That's 5 minutes. Sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you
With
so
the
much.
opportunity to give more if there's need.
Let me outline a little bit here on the speaking time. 5 minutes is for, like you're doing now. You have the option of contacting a county commissioner, and when we go around the horn here, to be recognized, and then you have an extended amount of time. That part is rarely talked about in the public, but it's been used many, many times. So we're not going to reduce the 5 minutes. We might ask people to comply with the 5 minutes and not go to an extended period of time, but it's not our intent to slow anybody down.
Thank you so much for allowing your child to come up. That was beautiful. That matters.
Commissioner Slater.
Thank you so much for coming.
Commissioner Slater.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did not change the rules and regulations to eliminate the 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is still in there. So we did not take that out. What we will vote on Monday still has the 5 minutes in there.
Commissioner Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Young lady, if I may, where do you go to school? Oh, homeschool, okay. How old are you, ma'am? My granddaughter goes to Taylor's, and she's 10 years old. And I don't know if you know her. Her name's Nevaeh. But anyway, I thank you for doing that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Any other comments? Anyone else want to communicate to the public, to the commission? Anyone from the Thank you. Announcements. The next meeting is the voting session Monday, March the 6th at 7 p.m. right here. Upcoming events, Finance Committee, March the 6th at 11:30 a.m. here in the commission room. Bradley County Schools Honor Choir, March the 6th, 6:30 p.m. at First Baptist Church. Cleveland Utility Public Hearing on Broadband, March the 8th at the Wheeler Training Center. Thank you very much.